Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1449, 1449. Thank you for listening to the most listened This podcast has more listeners than any podcast on the planet. So by listening to it, you have joined the herd, and you are one of many, and you're unique just like everyone else. Yay, sheep. No, you're not. It's Mike Matthews here at Mike's Daily Podcast. Café Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Today, Benita, the disgruntled fiddle player, the Mike's Daily Podcast, the brewmaster as well. Hey, yesterday I ran into Bob, and he had a lot to say about how he's rediscovered that he made a bunch of albums back when in his home studio, and now he's going to try and re-release them. Maybe he'll put them on the internet, my friend. That would be awesome. Great. Mike's Daily Podcast. We were talking about how when you do something for yourself, instead of trying to cater to the masses, Daily, you end up with some good stuff. Podcast. Because you're not trying to adhere to the same formula as everyone else. Follow your own drum. Follow your dream, my friend. Listen to your heart when it's calling for you. Listen to your heart. There's nothing else you can do. I don't know where you're going, and I don't know why, but listen to your heart before you tell him goodbye. Look who just walked in. Hi, Mike. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How you doing?
It's a disgruntled fiddle player, tell you what.
What?
I think that was a beautiful rendition of that rock set hit from the 1980s.
Actually, it was a hit in 1990, but the song was released in the 89. It was technically from the 80s, but thank you, disgruntled fiddle player.
Don't mention it ever again.
Look who else walked in.
Hello, Mike. I make the delicious root beer. I'm the brewmaster. Oh, here's some root beer.
No way. I love root beer. It's so good. It's not beer. It's not root. I am root. It's delicious. By the way, you can catch this podcast now on the website podcast.com. I had stopped uploading podcasts to that website because for some reason it wasn't uploading podcasts to the website, but now it does.
And here's today's podcast picture.
It's a podcast picture with you, Benita. Mike, I feel real happy when you draw a picture of me because I like looking at myself. Thanks, Mike. I gotta go. Bye, bye. I'm shy now. There she goes. She's shy. She's so shy. Hey, did you get your coffee today?
Would you like some coffee?
I have not. Actually, I drink a little bit of cold coffee on my way to work. So I have had a little coffee today, but I'd like a nice warm cup. We don't have any here at the moment. All we have is root beer because the brewmaster's here. Also yesterday, as I was walking my wonderful dog, Basil the Boxer, this is just after I saw Bob. This is the thing. It looked like we had plenty of sunlight when I was talking to Bob. And then I walk, maybe a few blocks, and it's dark. The sun disappears, is gone. Black. Black now. Can't walk anywhere because it's so... Oh, what's the word I'm looking for?
Black. You're black.
That's right. And then you can't see it. I just see a basic silhouette of a beautiful, huge deer, maybe a buck even, with its buck 45 antlers taped to its head, a la the Grinch and the dog. No, this was a true deer, and Basil saw it, I saw it, and it was walking right up the path towards us. And then it said, I'm out of here. And it skipped off into the woods nearby, and I could hear leaves being stepped on by hooves and branches snapped and it went off and was gone. But it was quite a foreboding sight. Huge, this deer, last night. So I'm not happy with the whole it's getting dark earlier thing. Because I got so much to do when I get home and I finally walk my dog and it's dark and it's Basil, He doesn't care though, he's still gonna have stuff. But I'm gonna try and set out a little earlier this evening. And I think I was going to mention something else and it's not coming to me. Oh, one thing Bob said was, yeah, he hasn't listened to the show in a while, but he sees it pop up on his screen, and then it sits there on his screen all day saying, Mike has a new podcast. And he says it just bugs me all day, and then he swipes and it's gone. So he doesn't actually listen to the show. And I thought that was a wonderful ringing endorsement. Thank you so much, Bob. And, I do this show because of the fact that I think... No, I really don't know. But Mike'sDailyPodcast.com has all the past shows, the past podcast pictures, and also where you can help out the show through the Amazon link. Click on it, buy whatever it is you're going to buy, and that helps us out. There's also the PayPal link. You can help out. What's this in my mouth? Ew. That's pretty disgusting. Ah! Anyway, Mike'sDailyPodcast.com is where you can find all that stuff. Hey, let's get to the segment called...
Yo, the Mike Tip.
I'm going to get you caught up on some things, interesting things going on in the world that we live in. The Mike Tip. The United Nations Nuclear Watchdog's chief said today North Korea's 6th nuclear test conducted September 3rd. Remember that? Earlier this month? Oh my gosh, September is almost over. Wake me up when September ends. Okay, wake up. It's just about done. Tomorrow will be the last day. Anyway, it showed the isolated country has made rapid progress on weapons development, and that has posed a new global threat. Tensions on the Korean Peninsula have increased markedly since the test, which led to the new round of sanctions against the North after a unanimous UN security resolution. Tensions had already flared after North Korea tested 2 more intercontinental ballistic missiles and other launches as it pursues its nuclear and missile programs in defiance of international pressure. As we mentioned yesterday, South Korea said the North could engage in more provocations near the anniversary of the founding of the North Korean Communist Party and China's all-important Communist Party Congress. Oh, hey, so I mentioned in an earlier show how I was on BART coming back from the airport when I flew in. When I traveled from Florida to here, when I came back from my Daytona Beach trip, I did drive my mom's car to the airport with my mom in it, and then we switched places, and she had to pull the seat way forward because she had a tall son, but I have a short mom. And so, I got that all set and gave her a big hug goodbye. But the rest of the day, I didn't drive at all. In fact, I took, flew from Daytona Beach to Atlanta, then Atlanta to San Francisco Airport, and then I was supposed to get on BART. And then when I got on BART, it broke down, or there was a system-wide power failure, or as someone I know named Rosalinda posted on Facebook yesterday, BART is always breaking down. There's always a delay on BART now. It's just gotten so bad. But I met this wonderful couple, Eddie and Donna, and I talked to them. They were from Huntsville, Alabama. And Donna's book, by the way, I have the book over here. It's sitting right here on the table at Café Anyway. It's called... Oh, man. Where did I put it? It's in this bag somewhere. Donna's got a book. Oh, here it is. It's Donna Green Goodman, MPH, Cooking Up Good Health Recipe Collection. There we go. She has found out a way to do Southern cooking, yet keep it healthy. using good ingredients. Like, instead of cheese, using soy cheddar. Some of you have issues with soy cheddar, I know, but using spices. People don't realize the importance of spices. Back, just a few decades ago, we only had like 4 spices in our spice cabinet. Now we can pick from a bunch. I got my paprika going on. I got my chili powder. I use the garlic powder, but that's kind of gross. I actually get the little minced garlic. I know you can actually buy garlic and mince it yourself, and it's easy as pie, and it tastes way better, but I think pie tastes way better. I love pie. It's delish. Well, most pies. Hey, how did we get over here in this section? Oh, it is International Coffee Day, or just National Coffee Day. We'll get to that in a moment. Hey, back to Eddie and Donna. So we're on the BART and we're coming back, and they're from Huntsville, and we're talking all about Huntsville. They're getting me all caught up on Huntsville. What I didn't realize, though, I had not figured out that Trump, when he gave his speech about the sob, if you will, fire the sobs that don't salute the national anthem, that don't take it, that do take a knee. He says fire him. But that all happened in Huntsville, where he gave that speech. And the guy he was supporting, Luther Strange, he of course lost. We talked all about that. And the guy that beat him, Roy Moore, oh my gosh, that guy, he's total Alabama. Probably why he won. Do you like him, Disgruntled Fiddle Player?
Yeah, he's really good. I hope he makes it to president someday, because I like him a lot. And that, if he beat Donald Trump in the presidential election, I'd be so happy.
In a way, he beat Donald Trump, didn't he? In that one, in the primary.
Yeah, he did.
Well, so there you go, Cafe Well. I mean, what is the name of the show? Café Anyway, or that's the name of this place anyway.
Anyway.
Thank you. Yeah, so I was amazed. It happened all right there. So much goes on in Huntsville, Alabama, you would not even realize. And it's not even the capital of Alabama. That would be Montgomery. Midnight in Montgomery, Yellow Eagle, the Silver Eagle. God, I haven't heard that song in a while. I gotta get caught up. Immigration officials yesterday announced hundreds of arrests in an operation targeting communities where police and elected officials have refused to fully cooperate on enforcing federal immigration laws. ICE said it arrested 167 people in and around Los Angeles, a region in which several cities and counties have been tagged by justice officials as being so-called sanctuaries, a loosely defined term used to describe local governments that restrict police from assisting immigration authorities in identifying and detaining people suspected of being in the country illegally. These arrests were also made in San Francisco and San Jose, not too far away from where we broadcast to you live from Café Anyway. ICE said it arrested nearly 500 people across the country over the last few days. The surge of arrests was similar in size to several past operations ICE has carried out in recent years, but the focus on places deemed by justice officials to be soft on illegal immigration served to ratchet up an already tense standoff. Trump pushing for a sweeping crackdown on the estimated 12 million people living in the country illegally. Former Alabama Senator and now U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions Do you love the way Jeff Sessions talks? He has a way of talking about things, and then he does it in this really calm, detached way. It's wonderful. Oh, and then Trump in Huntsville, Alabama, he used a lot of his hedging, his, what do you call them? Not onomatopoeias. His fill words, thank you. It was sort of like fill phrases he used. You understand. You get what I'm coming from. Or as LL Cool J used to say, you know what I'm saying? So Trump has his little, you know what I'm saying, but he does it in that New York sort of way. You get where I'm coming from. You know, he actually said this. If Roy Moore loses, I want to support him. You understand? You see that? You see, it's always you. It's a you statement that he uses. Because he wants to make sure you're following him. Like a preacher. When you see your preacher on Sunday, and he or she is giving the sermon, they will use a lot of questions. They're going to check in with you throughout the sermon, going, and the Lord said what? The Lord said, say it with me, have a nice day. That's right. The Lord said that. We are really doing a lot of Southern accents today. Thank you. It's not very easy to do those, but officials in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and other liberal-leaning communities have rebushed the demands passing local laws or implementing policies that restrict what police can and cannot do for ICE agents. Resistance has come from more conservative corners as well, where authorities have been unwilling to hold on to inmates for ICE out of concern that doing so is illegal. Sessions, by the way, insisted that local law enforcement agencies give immigration agents unfettered access to jails and delay releasing immigrants from custody so that agents can nab them. Meanwhile, back in Florida, where I was speaking of earlier, it looks like that Florida and other states are bracing for Puerto Rico exodus. A lot of people are going to be heading there after Puerto Rico is having such issues. More than 1 million people of Puerto Rico descent live and work in Orlando. People trying to come home, they have family in Central Florida, or they're coming to Florida to buy supplies to take back. But there's a lot of desperation. Some people lost their houses and want to get out. And it is so difficult to get out of Puerto Rico right now. The reports are the airport is just, it's a mess. It's a mess. I inherited a mess.
I inherited a mess. It's a mess.
One word could be worth $500 billion to congressional Republicans as they try to play down the effect of Donald Trump's tax cut proposal on the nation's debt. They're eyeing a switch to the standard Congress uses to measure the cost of tax cuts from, quote, the current law baseline to a, quote, current policy baseline. The switch would mean that tax cuts would appear to have far less impact on the long term. Congressional budget experts measure the deficit impact of a new legislation against a current law. For example, if a tax break on rum is set to expire in 2 years, the experts assume that the government will collect more revenue in the third, fourth, and fifth years because the tax rate on rum will have gone back up after the break has expired. But the currency policy baseline assumes that every law now in effect would continue in perpetuity, even if the law has a sunset date. Republicans like the current policy baseline because it means that projections of future government revenue are lower, and as a result, tax cuts look smaller compared to current policy than they do compared to current law. That makes sense, right? And this perfectly makes sense. The 2016 presidential election wasn't the first time that Russian trolls used Facebook to mess with another country's political system. And it was not the first time that Mark Zuckerberg offered a weak defense of his company's role in facilitating Russian online aggression. Years before Russian trolls organized pro-Trump flash mobs, advertised fake news to tens of millions of Americans, and promoted anti-immigrant hate, they pushed and pushed to get Ukrainian activists suspended from Facebook. It worked. The anti-Ukrainian trolls lodged endless complaints with Facebook, claiming that their anti-Kremlin posts were really hate speech or porn. The social network would dutifully comply with the trolls' requests. So, Facebook's inability to tackle Russia's troll problem in Ukraine reached a fever pitch in 2014 and 15, with several Ukrainians writing into Zuckerberg's May 2015 call for question submissions at a Facebook town hall. The top 20 questions worldwide were about Russian trolling. of the website's report button to silence Ukrainian accounts. The top question received 45,000 likes, and even Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko asked the company to create a Ukrainian Facebook office to deal with Ukraine, no the in their name. The request was rebuffing, rebooshing. That's interesting. Okay, coffee. Today is coffee day, National Coffee Day. Cinnabon, they're offering a 12-ounce coffee cup today. Now, I heard on the show that I produced, the host said that that's only in airports. So, let's see. Krispy Kreme customers can get one free small hot or cold coffee all weekend long. Lyft riders in certain cities get a free high brew, cold brew coffee for their trip. Do you have a Pilot Flying J near you? Their travel centers get a free small cup of coffee or cappuccino with a coupon. I don't know where you get the coupon. And then the rest of these, I have never heard of these stores. Okay, so much for that. It's Starbucks, no free coffee from them. Idiots. As we go outside a Café Anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. And there you go, and it's Friday, and it's coffee day. Do you not like coffee? As we talked about yesterday, the guy that I work with, he made me a cup of coffee because I ended up doing something for him, and it was the first cup of coffee he ever made with Keurig. By the way, stillshoutin.com is the website for Donna Green Goodman. Very nice lady. Her husband, very wonderful. It looks like they have a wonderfully huge family, too, as I found them on Twitter at stillshoutin. That's without the G. And stillshoutin.com. Good to help you guys out with that little mention. And if you would like something mentioned on my podcast that, hey, maybe I can get behind, I don't know, submit it to me. Email me, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com, or you can call me at 336-MM-DAILY, 336-MM-DAILY. Always good to hear from you. Not doing a show on Saturday as per usual, but I will be back on Sunday, God willing, bringing you a show. So talk to you then. Enjoy your weekend.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.